Insights of All Trades podcast.
One thing I love about my job now, and what I love about your guys' podcast, is that you've brought people on so far that have taken that responsibility for themselves, and I'm not sure that a lot of people our age do. They're waiting for life to happen to them. They're addicted to Twitter, which I can't blame them for. I am too. But they're very complacent. And one thing I've learned through this job is there's a lot of people in this community that are doing a lot of really neat things and a lot of incredible things. And you guys have highlighted people that are our age that are doing that so far, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank you again for coming on with us.
Yeah.
And that kind of hits on another point where you're the youngest member, right, of the house right now?
I am.
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and what that means to you?
Yeah, there's a Democrat that's about 2 months older than me. And then other than that, we're the two youngest by 5 or 6 years. So I think the average age is in the low 50s or something. So really, when I decided to run, I'll just get in, if that's okay. I'll just get in why I decided.
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking at the field. First of all, the congressman decided that he was retiring. I probably wouldn't have left that job otherwise. I might have, but it was just a really incredible opportunity. I was going to law school at night down there as well. But I always wanted to take my skills and return home at some point. So I was focusing on, in law school, or I was planning to focus on, I was still in the beginning, but I was planning to focus on, trying to help people get ahead in our rural community. So a lot of landlord-tenant type stuff and properties and things like that, where I could really be kind of a jack of all trades back here in Juniata County and help people navigate the legal system in a way that most people can't do. That's what I wanted to do eventually. And so, but I was working for the congressman and going to law school at night. And I was focusing my stuff on that. I was doing a lot of nutrition work and a lot of welfare type stuff and a lot of ag work because that's my background and it's what I know. And I was exploring for what I would do next because the congressman announced that he was retiring. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but then my predecessor, Adam Harris, back here, also announced that he was retiring. And I thought about it very briefly one night, went to sleep, didn't think about it again. And then a friend back home here mentioned it to me. Well, did you ever think about running for Adam Harris's seat? And I still was registered to vote back here and everything like that, so I legally could do it. And I thought, well, it's a good time to put what I'm learning into action. I love Juniata County. I always intended to serve it some way. 4 years from now, it would have been as a lawyer rather than as a politician. But it was kind of a good opportunity to move back. And I was working from 8 or 9 to 5 every day, and then going from law school to 6 to 9 every weeknight. So I was also just burned out, and I was ready for something different. And I probably had to figure something out pretty soon in terms of, basically I had a full-time job. I work harder now in my full-time job, but, because that was a pretty set 9 to 5. But I had a full-time job, and I had 12 credits of school, and something had to give there. And so this opportunity came up, and I always intended to try and make Juniata County a better place. But I never thought it would come this soon. And people were piling into the race. And I already told you guys this, but I noticed that none of the people getting in looked like me. In terms of, like I said, there's a lot of white males in politics. But there weren't any millennials, And I've always had the idea that we have a lot of friends that have moved away from high school. And I have the idea that this is an incredible place. We're between Harrisburg and State College and a lot of major metropolitan areas. Why aren't people settling here? And there's a billion reasons why. But there's a reason I went to Washington right out of college instead of moving back here immediately. But I wanted to contribute to making my community a better place. Not only that, but to contribute to creating opportunity for people that are our age. And so that's one reason. And then I also looked at politics today, and it's happening on both sides, so I'm not going to throw any blame here. But it's just so negative. Everything is negative. And so I thought that if I can win this with a positive campaign and not lying to anybody, not pretending everything is sunshine and roses, because Pennsylvania has a lot of problems, but running a positive campaign, attacking people's ideas rather than the person underlying them, never saying anything negative about people's supporters, or certainly I had my opinions about some of my opponents, but never saying anything negative about them publicly or privately. And, that is the kind of politics that I wanted to see. And
which I think is a pretty rare thing in politics these days, it seems.
I think that it is. But it's what I wanted to happen. So I decided to go for it, because who better to do what I want than me? And ended up entering a 9-way race. It was a 9-way primary, Republican primary for state representative. Luckily won that. And then my Democratic opponent, who you guys remember as your track coach, and ended up dropping out of the race. And so I only had an independent from there, and it was pretty smooth sailing. But the 9-way race was tough, because it was pretty much just trying to get attention in a sea of a lot of people. And a lot of people were saying outlandish things to get attention. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to draw attention to myself, and that's why I was winning. I wanted to win because I was a competent, positive person that could create change for this area.